Good evening and welcome, participants. We'll be starting in just a minute. Right. So welcome everybody to our last webinar on the Ayurveda Dhara competition. So in today's webinar, I'm going to give you a brief overview of what the competition is all about and take you over how to do your submissions, what the judges are going to be looking for, and finally, how we're going to organize the logistics for the winners. So I'm going to be recording this video, and I will request that any questions that you have, please keep it for the end, and I will turn off the recording at that point of time, as well as stop the live streaming so that we can take questions in private. Okay, just trying to get set up here. Fine. Now, I can't see you, audience, so if you can just give me a quick thumbs up to tell me that you are able to see my presentation. Thank you. Wonderful. All right, great. So we're very excited to be doing this Ayurveda Dhara Vision 27 competition. This is an event that is being sponsored by the Ministry of Culture, as well as the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India departments, along with the Indian Knowledge Systems, which is currently placed in the Ministry of Education. My name is Megha. I am an associate professor at the Center for Ayurveda Biology and Holistic Nutrition at TDU. Now, many of you might be hearing about our university for the first time. TDU, when you expand it, stands for the University of Transdisciplinary Health Sciences and Technology. We are a very niche, small, private university based in Bangalore. So if you have ever visited Bangalore or live in Bangalore, we are based in the north side of the city, closer to the airport. We have an extremely sylvan campus that is filled with medicinal trees. It's a pleasure to take a walk in our gardens. I'm just showing you one of our buildings, which have been very uniquely designed to include the landscape and the medicinal plants around us. Now, TDU has a very unusual mix of people. We don't have your typical departments of chemistry, biology, or pharmacology, and so forth. Instead, we operate centers, and you can look us up on our website, www.tdu.edu.in. We have centers in medicinal plant conservation, natural resources, local health traditions, and the department I belong to, Ayurveda Biology, Holistic Nutrition, ethno-veterinary practices, clinical research. So as I'm rattling off these names, you would know that we are very, very specialized. And if I had to summarize the ethos of our university, it lies in the word transdisciplinary. We believe that knowledge seekers and knowledge givers come from a variety of backgrounds, and education doesn't necessarily mean you have knowledge, and vice versa. So we welcome perspectives and viewpoints across disciplines, across cultures. And we believe that all of us are out here seeking in our own way, in our own contexts, a larger meaning to this journey we call life. And we'll take all these views along with us. Now, the Ayurveda Dhara is a concept. There are a series of dharas that are being planned by the Ministry of Culture. And this specific one is on Ayurveda, the traditional medicine. Now, this conference is taking place on our campus on 23rd and 24th September. Those of you who are listening in from Bangalore, I invite you to register for this meeting. It is free, and you're welcome to come visit our campus. This meeting will have three components to it. There are going to be vision talks, and I've shown you the kind of people who will be giving these vision talks. They will all be here in person, followed by a series of workshops that are going to happen all across campus. There's going to be medicinal plant identification. We have a beautiful research kitchen, so there will be some Ayurvedic cooking happening over there. Right across from our university is our sister concern, the Institute for Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine, a 100-bed hospital, which is going to be organizing wellness checkups. And finally, we will have all across the campus an exhibition on India's medical heritage. Now, as part of this entire cosmos of events that are planned as part of the Ayurveda Dhara, in order to get students engaged and excited, we're having a competition. The thought behind this competition is that healthcare needs today demand pluralistic solutions. Modern science has given us some beautiful science and understanding of how things work. There's, of course, much yet left to be discovered. Our traditional knowledge systems have yielded us a perspective on how to live sustainably and healthily with what nature provides us. What we'd like to know is how these two can be combined in order for us to continue to enjoy good health, and not just us, animals and plants, the One Health, the ecosystem we call our home. So this competition is about solving global health issues and recognizing that in order to tackle these issues, people from different fields of different expertise have to come together. And when they do, they will come up with innovative ideas. So this competition, although is based in the Ayurveda Dhara, is principally about using our traditional knowledge systems along with modern technology and science to deliver a product or an idea that can be a game changer for human, plant, or animal health. In this particular slide, I have shown a few of the products that we think fall in this category of innovation. All of you might have heard of Vico turmeric, the Biotique range of products, which are cosmeceuticals, Himalaya Live 52, which is a proprietary medicine. And on my extreme left, maybe you're not familiar with this, this is called the Nada Tarangini. It is a device that has been developed in order to convert your nadi and the nadi pariksha that happens into an electrical signal, which can then be diagnosed by a physician. So this competition that we have, we want you to present your idea. A lot of you have called me and asked me if we should make the product or if I should have a video showing that I have made the product. Certainly not. We want you to not be burdened with execution. We want you to scratch your heads and come up with an idea. And that idea has to be based on some healthcare need or gap that you have identified. So on this slide, I have two bits of information, and I will go through each one in a very detailed manner. First, the idea and how you're going to propose it. So you are required to make a slide deck, a PowerPoint presentation. We have provided you a template of this presentation. Do not deviate from the template when you make your submission. When you use the template, it makes it easier for the judges to understand what you have done and score you appropriately. And then all of you will be presenting the information in a standardized format. And so therefore, it is very important for you to use only the template that we have suggested. On the first slide, we'd like to see some basic information. Who is this idea from? What is it called? If you have team members or mentors, please list them. We would also like to see a photo, either of you, if you're an individual applicant, or your entire team, because the judges would never otherwise have a chance to meet you. So it'll be nice to see at least your photos. On slide number 2, very simply state what is the healthcare gap that you're addressing. For example, antimicrobial resistance, acne, diabetes, gray hair. You are going to make a slide that has enough information for someone to immediately understand what you mean. So that's why it is important that whatever slides you make, you show it to somebody who's not involved in your team, perhaps your mentor, perhaps a teacher, perhaps your mother, and ask these people if they understand what you have written. On slide number 3, we would like you to provide supporting evidence. Now, the evidence can be in terms of shlokas. Maybe you just read something in a Samhita and that's what sparked your imagination. Maybe you read a peer-reviewed paper. Or maybe it was something that you saw in your clinic, in your practice. Or maybe you come from a family that practices traditional medicine and you saw your grandfather or grandmother perform something. All these are legitimate sources of information. We'd like you to put it down. But there is a caveat here. If you think that this is an idea that came from traditional medicine and is unique to your family, please make sure you do a literature survey to see if anybody has worked on that particular idea. So do a thorough job, understand if this idea is based in a strong concept, and then find out if this concept or this idea has been tested by somebody else. Slide 4 to 6 are sort of the meat of your proposal. Here, we want you to talk about the execution strategy. What will you do in order to make this product come true? If you have an herbal formulation, for example, how will you source the different herbs? Where will you, what time, what season will you source them from? How will you authenticate them? How will you do the processing? If it's a digital idea, how will you make your app? And I don't mean that in terms of your technical backend. Of course, you can talk about what is the underlying software you're going to use. But if you're making an app, what sort of questions are you going to ask? What are the parameters that you're going to feed in? Is there going to be a database that is going to basically give you the answers? If so, how is that database going to be structured? What are the kind of questions you will ask in your app? For example, if you're coming up with a Swasthya app, maybe a quick way to use the shloka on Sama Dosha, Sama Agni, right? You have figured out how you want to ask questions. Tell us about these questions that you're going to ask. On slide number 7, very simply explain to us why this is innovative. And by innovative, we want to understand, was this product not available in the market? Or perhaps this product is available in the market, but you've made it into a form now, which is much more user-friendly. We had Ajit Kolatkar the other day on one of our webinars, and he was talking about products made out of curd, which were spray painted so that they had a longer shelf life, but were still probiotic in nature. That also is an innovation. In slide number 8, we want you to explain what idea you used of Ayurveda. So was it a shloka? Was it a textual reference? That would be great. Was it something that you've seen in practice? But this is a slide for our judges to understand. if conceptually this idea belongs to Ayurveda or not. Now here, this is a little subjective because Ayurveda is a vast subject and nobody knows all the theory that is contained in it. So we will allow for some level of subjectivity here. If the idea is also based in folk tradition or traditional medicine or any of the other Ayush systems, that's fine, but please explain it very clearly. On slide number 9, we want to talk about who is going to benefit from this. How will you bring it to the market? Now, by who will I benefit? You have to talk about your cohort demographics. Are they children, adults, everybody, men, women, animals? If there are animals, only cows and buffaloes or all animals. So who will benefit? And how will you bring it to market? What sort of people will you need in order to put this together? If I told you, here's some money for some startup. And the reason for that is some of our jurists are people who are involved in startups. So there is potentially a chance for you to work with them and develop this idea further. Slide number 10 is my favorite slide. And this is an infographic. Now, what am I looking for here? It could be a poster, it could be a video, it can be a cartoon, it can be a meme. It is some way for you to communicate your idea to the lay person. So how will you talk about your formulation or your app or your website to a person who is not from an Ayurveda background or from an Ayush background, a lay person? Again, take the example of your next door neighbor or your 10-year-old friend. How will you explain it to them? In terms of the evaluation, we insist we're going to ask the judges to evaluate your idea on basis of 5 broad categories. Now, the judges will give you 2 points for each one of these categories, adding up to 10 points in total. The first is that is your idea based on something that comes from traditional medicine? Second, well, how creative is it? How innovative is it? And here we are going to be looking at slightly different parameters. Now, if you're an Ayurveda student and you have tried to imagine a technology product, we will be very, very impressed. Or if you are a chemical engineering student proposing something in Ayurveda. So by creativity, it is not just of your idea, but the background that you're coming from and how you have managed to put things together. Third, execution strategy. So that is basically slides 4 to 6. Have you thought about some variables, parameters? How are you going to do this? Fourth, have you thought about who it will benefit? Like if this is really an unmet need? And lastly, we would be giving points to those people who participate in teams or at least have interdisciplinary members amongst them and propose something that truly is a meld of traditional medicine and modern science. So this is something that is pretty obvious, those of you who are here already, but I'll just go over it. The winning prize is for rupees 1 lakh. And if you're participating in a team, then you have to distribute it amongst all the people of your team. Second prize is rupees 75,000 and the third is rupees 50,000. We are accepting applications from UG and PG students. Some of you are PhD students and that's acceptable as well. However, please be aware that depending on the status of your education, we will look at the maturity of your idea. PhD students are expected to have a much more mature idea than those in UG. The 4 categories that we are looking for are non-digital product, digital product, process engineering, and Ayurveda biology. When you visit our website, I am sure you would have seen the ideas that we have put in these categories. Please note that the ideas that are presented on the website are just that, ideas. You are welcome to come up with anything that catches your fancy. These ideas proposed by us are merely guidelines to help you think it through. I want to spend some time talking about our jurists to give you an idea of the eminent panelists that we have gathered to look at the entries. Dr. Anirudh Joshi is the founder inventor of the Nada Tarangini that I showed you a couple of slides before. Professor Balram is an eminent biochemist, ex-director of Indian Institute of Science. Although he does not have any formal training in Ayurveda, he has an excellent mind for innovation and understanding student creativity. Dr. Daya Sindhu is a tech entrepreneur, and he will be looking at digital products that are proposed. Dr. Kanakavalli is a Siddha practitioner. She's also the DG of CCRS. Professor Valiyathan, many of you might be aware, is our crusader for Ayurveda biology. Professor Murlidhar Sharma, also an Ayurveda physician and a teacher par excellence from SDM Udupi. Dr. Narendra Pense, with whom I've had the privilege of working with, an Ayurveda physician. Dr. Rangesh Paramesh, he is the head of R&D at Himalaya, the drug and nutraceutical company. Dr. Sudha Rao is the founder of a genomics company called Genotypic. And Dr. Unni Krishnan, he is formerly at the United Nations University and worked extensively in traditional health practices and public health. Dr. Vishwajanani Satyageri, she is heading the CSIR CKDL, the Center for Traditional Knowledge Informatics, and responsible for curating India's traditional knowledge. Now, many of you have asked how this whole competition will unfold in terms of winners and whether they have to present at the meeting. Well, the competition timelines are running so short that we will not have the opportunity to welcome you on our campus for a presentation as we had planned. Instead, competition winners, we will be finalizing them by 22nd September, and we will inform you by phone and email. Those of you who have won and have had special mentions will be asked to share a 2-minute video. You can summarize your experience of making this, the product. And the winners will be announced by Vaidya Kotecha, the Honorable Secretary of the Ministry of Ayush, right in the morning of 23rd September. We may request the winner to join us online to be felicitated. Now, I'm going to move into a logistical part of how to make a submission to this particular competition. I will be taking questions, but like I said, this is going live and we will stop the live recording for questions. So I will finish this part and then take questions. Please remember, participants, you have to have a Gmail ID in order to make your submission. And that's because the form is going to ask you to upload your documents, and that's only possible if you're doing it from a Gmail ID. So if you have institutional email IDs that are not based off of Google, please make sure that you use a Gmail ID. If you're working in a team, only one person in the team needs to make the submission. That person will write everybody's name, and we will see that in the form as well. Before you submit, make sure that you have the names of your team members, their email IDs, name of the idea, all the contact details of the person who is actually doing the submission, and the PPT that you have prepared, the slide deck. If you do not have access to Microsoft PowerPoint, please use Google Slides and make them there. And make sure that you have your infographic ready. Now, for example, those of you who have made a video as your infographic would not be able to showcase it in your PDF of the PowerPoint presentation. Therefore, a separate question allows you to upload movies that you have created, as well as the infographic, which could be a poster, a cartoon, and a meme. So I'm going to stop here now to take us to a submission demonstration. And